Hello and welcome. So today we're going to step into LeetCode, and LeetCode is LeetCode.com is a platform where you can take on different coding challenges on different programming languages to keep practicing and stay motivated during your uh, coding learning journey. And this is my first problem that I'm solving on LeetCode, and this is just to keep me going, get me started on different coding challenges. There's so many different platforms, so I definitely recommend LeetCode.com. They also do post coding contests once in a while, and all the problems here do have different levels of difficulty, allowing everybody to be able to practice. And for beginners, obviously you have the easy problems, very basic problems, and the contest will be a little bit more advanced. So today, the first problem is very easy. Given an array of integers, return indices of the two numbers such that they add up to a specific target. You assume that each input would have exactly one solution, and you may not use the same element twice. So a lot of information here, and I feel like just keeping it on a basic level. Basically, you want to create a function, and function is just a stored routine that you will be able to use. Pass in some arguments, just like in math. Pass in an argument in the function, and you expect an output from that function. So this function should be able to take in an array of integers, and once we pass in the array of integers and a target, specific target, meaning that is going to be the result of the sum of those two numbers. Once we pass in those arguments, we should be able to get as a result the indices of these integers that we pass in as arguments. And in JavaScript, we are defining and creating a function, very easy. We just simply use the keyword function, and the name of the problem here is toSum, so we just use that title as the name of the function. And because we're passing in, first of all, we're passing in an array, and we'll call the array nums, and then we're also passing in a target number, which should be the sum. So very easy, starting the function definition here using the keyword function, naming the function, and also placing the arguments that we need. And the function also, the block of the function starts with the curly brackets, and here we are going to state what the function will do. So we're going to do a couple of iterations because we're dealing with two different numbers that we're going to add up. So for each number, we're going to have separate iteration. So for I equals 0, we're going to make sure that we're looking at a number of indices. Obviously, the number of indices cannot be more than the total number of elements in the array. So we want to make sure that we set that rule here. So we have a number of indices, because when you count in the number of elements, you always start with the number 0. Starts counting from 0. So if the array has 5 different elements, we count from 0 to 4, and it's going to be less than 5. So basically, that is the highest number of indices you can find. And then we're basically iterating. So basically, starting from I equals 0, we're going to loop around this element through each element until the last element. And so for each number, each element, we're going to do the same thing. And for the second number, we're going to iterate for their indices as well. And it's the same, basically it's the same argument, same type of argument, so it will have the same, it's within the same array, so it will have the same number of elements within the same array, so it should be exactly the same condition. Alright, so curly brackets again, and you can see that it's very each time you basically set a condition, you open the curly brackets, and the condition and the condition will be the result will be between within the curly brackets. Alright, so now this is what the function will do. Now we're going to say that if we have two different numbers and they're basically the number will be a number within the array. So the first number with the index I plus the second element of that array with the index j. And for j here, I just want to note that we want to start counting j from because we want to make sure that it doesn't basically it's not the same number. So it says that you may not use the same element twice. So meaning that if I set up j starting from 0 to the end of the number of elements in the array, we may actually go through the same numbers. For instance, let's say that we have an array that has these numbers. See here. Okay, so we can say 2 plus 2 equals 4, but as the question says, you may not use the same element twice. So when you're adding, you cannot do 2 plus 2, you have to go to the next element. Okay, so in that case, we can't use 0 here. So that when we're at the first iteration and I equals element of 0, we want to make sure that j is actually different than 0. So we're adding 1. So that j will be a different element, will be the next element. Alright, so that makes sense. Now we want to make sure that the sum of those two elements equals a strict equality here. So we want to make sure it's the same data type, and it's going to be equal to target. So that's pretty straightforward. If the sum of item index I plus element index j equals to target, then we want to we want to return the each index, the index of each number. So we want to return index I and j basically. Okay, now that we have the function set up, we are going to run the test case, and we're calling the function. And just keep in mind that JavaScript is actually case sensitive, so however you have written the name of the function, spelled the name of the function, make sure that you have the proper case for each letter when you call the function as well. So example here is an array of let's see, oh, here it is. Okay, and a target of 9, and we run the code. And it is accepted as it shows here, so the code runs just fine. And this is the first one that I have completed, and on to the next one in the next video.